K-band. Ka band. Laser. GPS connected.
What's going on, guys? I decided to buy my R8, a R8. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to install a radar detector into a second generation Audi R8. Let's go ahead and get started. If you guys recall from my Range Rover dash cam installation video, I used a BlendMound to mount that dash cam. I'm doing the same for the radar detector in the R8. This is a BlendMound, and this was ordered specific for the R8 in its mirror and for the Uniden R8 radar detector. Now, the R8 and the R7 use the same device here, so I'm going to go ahead and do the easy part of this installation first, and that's going to be installing the BlendMound. So, you're given a little Allen key to adjust and move around all these bolts. The way this is going to install, we're going to need to take this top piece off, and to get to this bolt, we're going to have to undo here and set this aside until we get this installed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And we'll obviously want to put this little bolt somewhere we won't lose it. Easier said than done. So we can set this down. And now I'm going to take this bolt out, or loosen it enough that we can open the clamp to get it around the mirror stem here. And now I'm going to go ahead and tighten that down. And you want to push this as far forward as it'll go. With our mirror housing clamp installed, I'm going to go ahead and snap the other part of the BlendMound into the radar detector. And then I'm going to line this up and thread in those bolts, and then we can adjust it. You also want to go have a seat in the driver's side and make sure you can see the screen from the angle that it is at. Now it's time for the scary part. We're going to start removing panels to get access to this A-pillar so we can route the hardwire all the way from the mirror, down the A-pillar, down through here, and into the fuse box under the glove box. So first thing we're going to do is take a trim removal tool, and we're going to put it right in here. And we're going to pry this whole cover off right here. This should come out pretty easy using your trim tool. And just to show you, this has actually the really nice thick metal clips instead of the cheap little plastic ones that break off every time you take a panel off. So props to Audi there. Next, we're going to pop off this little piece that says airbag on our A-pillar. You want to use a nice sharp trim tool to get under that edge. Try your best not to scratch up your nice Alcantara. There we go. And that's on its own little retainer, so you don't have to worry about losing that. The bolt in here we're going to remove is a T25 Torx. With this Torx bolt removed, we should be able to remove the A-pillar. So this part is where you're probably most likely to break something, but we're going to remove this piece of the housing for the mirror so that we can run our cord up in here and under this little plastic piece until we get it to the headliner, and we can just tuck it under the headliner. So I don't really know of a good way to do this other than just pull on it down while kind of pulling out. I did end up breaking some tabs here, right there, and right there, but it still pops into place okay, so whatever, it's not the end of the world. And I'm sure we can order this piece if we absolutely have to. So I'm just going to take a second and walk you through my Hardwire kit. So I actually bought, with my BlendMound, I got a mirror tap Hardwire kit, and it comes just like you see it there. It has a built-in fuse right here. Now I'm actually going to be installing mine using an ATO Adafuse. So this is going to have its own fuse. So what I did is I took the kit and I cut out the fused portion and added this ring terminal for the ground back in. And as you can see, there's 3 wires that come out right here. The only one that was attached to go out to positive was this red one. The green and yellow are unused, so you can just kind of disregard them. So what I'm going to do is, after we wire this in, I'm just going to take a nice Wi-Fi butt connector and crimp the red on to my Adafuse right here. And then we'll take the factory or the OEM fuse, put it in here. That'll complete the circuit for what we decide to use. And this little 3 amp fuse here will be for the radar detector. So pretty simple. It's just going to be positive, positive, negative to negative. And I'll just have to look for a accessory that's 12 volts on ignition. I don't want one that is always hot, because that'll obviously drain the battery. To get to the fuse box, we're going to remove the carpet. And if you just put a finger under this panel and kind of pull up and back, this whole panel will come out. Set that aside, and now we have access to our fuses. Now we're going to start routing our Hardwire. So we're going to start from the radar detector side, run it into the housing here, tuck it under the headliner, down the A-pillar, and to the fuse box. So let's go ahead and plug in our Hardwire. And I think the way I want to go, rather than having it come up the windshield here and go under here, I'm going to have it come in through here. So I'm just going to loop that in there like so. And I think that'll look a lot better than it coming up here and going in. So I'm just going to make sure this kind of tucks in right under here, because there is a little bit of a gap there where this connects, and that should be enough to give that cord space to not, you know, fray or whatever. Just gonna pop this back into place, maybe. A little bit of a tight fit. Let's see. So I'm gonna try to make sure it routes on the side of that clip, and that should be enough to get us in there. That fits perfect. That is really clean looking right there. All right, let's work on getting this tucked up under the headliner. This part's definitely a little bit tedious, but what I'm gonna try to do is start over here, and once I get part of this tucked under, then I'll start working back that way, and then we can continue on towards the A-pillar. But I'm going to pull down the headliner just a smidge with one trim tool, and try to stuff it with the other. Oh, there we go. Now it's completely hidden in there. All right, now we'll just work our way back all the way to the A-pillar. When it comes to routing the A-pillar, obviously we do not want to interfere with our airbag. The airbag comes out on this side, so as long as we route our new cord on the opposite side, that should be fine. I'm actually just going to zip tie it to this existing cord, and that should keep it plenty out of the way from interfering with our airbag. And that should be plenty. So now we're going to trim these up. When it comes to getting the hardwire from the A-pillar to the fuse box, you can do this however you want, but I'm going to make things easy and use one of these little guys. It has a little plunger on one end and a little claw on the other. I'm going to insert this down here through this crack right in here, and I've noticed that if I put my finger up there and shine a light through here, I can make out a clear path. So I'm going to go ahead and push that little claw tool up through there and out through here, and then we're just going to grab on to this and pull it on through. There we go. Now I'm going to thread my hardwire down behind this vent so that it comes out behind this metal structure brace right here, and then we can kind of feed it into our little claw and pull it back the other side. Aha! Okay, new plan of attack. I found that if you stick your fingers right up through here, you can just about grab this cord from where I'm at. So we're just going to use that instead of using the little grabby tool. Just got to push it enough to get my fingers on it. I'm doing all this by feel, obviously. And actually, I guess we can use our little grabby tool. I'll just pass this off to myself like this. Oh yeah, that works much better. I can get a hand on it. There we go. And as you can see, that's coming out at the bottom now. Now we can just slide this around into the fuse panel. So now we're going to decide which fuse we're going to add a circuit to. In the owner's manual, this first bank labeled A, all of these are going to be switched, so when the car is off, you're not going to be drawing power. Now, obviously you don't want to ever mess with anything that is important for driving. So we're not going to choose anything like the airbag or dynamic steering or our ABS, steering column electronics. We don't want to use anything like that. But on fuse panel A, which is right here, number 14 is actually the rear view mirror. And the only thing our rearview mirror does in this vehicle is dim. So I feel plenty confident in tapping that one. And that one's a 5 amp fuse. So number 14 is going to be right here. And I will show you that a little closer up in the fuse box. So first thing we're going to do is pop off this little pink fuse retainer. It just pops right off. And then we can work on adding that ADA circuit. So here we are. This is that fuse panel A. We can just kind of pull up on this pink thing. There's not a great way to do it. Just got to pull on it. However you can get a grip on it. And with our ADA circuit, we are not going to be reusing that little pink thing. So you can toss this aside, or, you know, probably hang on to it. You never know if you might want to put it back in. But this 5 amp fuse right here is the one we're going to be tapping, so we'll go ahead and pop that guy out. And you probably want to disconnect the battery to do this. Would be the safe thing to do. I'm not. Oh well. So here's our ADA circuit, and what we're going to do is we're going to put the 5 amp fuse into this bottom holder right here. And what that does is that fuse provides the same path from here, up through here, through this fuse, and back through here. This 3 amp one we've added up top, that's going to be for our new accessory. So we're going to just plug that guy in just like that. And yeah, it should actually fit just like that. And I'll push that in when I'm ready. But I'm going to go ahead and crimp on our new positive here. And we'll take care of grounding as well. So I'm going to go ahead and strip back this with some wire strippers. And you don't need a fancy tool like this, but it does make it really, really easy. And while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and put some electrical tape on these other 2 wires just so they're not in the way. So now we're going to go ahead and crimp our positive wire from the radar detector in the butt connector. Be careful because this is just tiny, tiny wiring. So you want to be very careful with it, not to destroy it. And I'm going to give it a little bit of a tug test, but not too much because it's so tiny it won't take much to strip that out of there. Now our other side, this is for this fuse here. This is a lot more robust, so I'm not as worried about it. We'll go ahead and crimp that one on as well. I like to go ahead and just get my place in here. And then we'll feed that in. Crimp it down. Alright. Now, we can go ahead and hit this with some heat, cinch these down. Before I start worrying about grounding and plugging this in, I am going to clean this up with some electrical tape, just so it doesn't look ridiculous. Now to ground this, rather than drill a hole through the aluminum, what I've actually done is just taken a pair of needle nose pliers, and if you squeeze these tabs together on the back, you can pull out one of these little clips here. There's about 6 of them to hold the floor panel in, and I think you can do without one. I think that's fine. So I'm just going to use this hole that's already there, and I just have a random bolt, nut, and washer that I'm going to use to install that. So you just want to make sure that this is going to line up in a way that you have room for it to reach. And we're just going to thread that in right here. There we go. Now we can just plug this back in. And obviously we'll want to tidy up these wires. And you can do that however you feel looks best. With everything tucked and routed nicely, we're going to go ahead and reinstall this panel. And as you can see, even with that missing tab there, it still goes in just fine. Before we start buttoning everything up and popping these panels and A-pillars back into place, I'm going to put the ignition on and see if it powers up.
X-band, K-band, Ka-band, laser.
I would call that a success. Alright, let's go ahead and start popping those panels back into place. So now we're going to pop the A-pillar back in place. I didn't think to mention this when I took it off, but what I did is I went ahead and routed this T25 Torx bolt back into the place just so I didn't lose it. And that way you know exactly where it goes. So I popped that back out, and to guide this into place, we're going to guide the bottom in first. Alright, once that's in, you want to make sure the T25 bolt lines up in the hole where it is supposed to go, and it should thread on in. And we can go ahead and pop our little airbag clip back in place. Everything looks tucked up nice. So let's go ahead and put this panel back on. This should go on pretty easy. May help to have a trim tool to help guide this rubber seal back over everything. Or you can try to just slip it in there from the beginning. Reinstall your floor mat. And that, my friends, is it. Let's check out how it looks. Doesn't get any cleaner than that. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. If you have any questions about this install on the radar detector in an Audi R8, leave me a comment. I'll get back to you ASAP as always. Please like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Oh, yeah.